All right, Jimmy, here we are. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, welcome back, everyone. This is From the Margins with Jimmy Aponte. Yours truly, David Washington. And it is approximately 10 days away from the swearing in of Donald J. Trump as our 47th president. Congress, the 119th Congress, is already called into session. So has the Senate. And locally, at least statewide here in Florida, the legislative delegations are speaking to their constituents in their respective counties. How are you, Jimmy?
I'm doing fine. And now that you bring up Donald Trump being sworn in 11 days, did you see him talking to Barack Obama and laughing at the Jimmy Carter ceremony?
Jimmy, I saw that, and and oh man, and so many things gone went through my head.
Well,
It's
I
just
would I
not
would have
ready.
loved to be a fly in that room
Yeah,
just to hear what was going on.
exactly.
Golly, because Obama did not look happy.
Eh, yeah, it's a strange fraternity, the former president and the the perceived it's very clear that George W. does not like Trump. When he walked to sit next to Obama, he didn't even recognize Trump. So that there's bad blood there. Obama seems to be able to at least tolerate Trump.
Well, I'm not sure if he was able to tolerate it. Knowing Obama and the man is polite, Trump talked to him. He has to respond. He cannot say, "Hey, you're," and I'm not talking to you. He was very polite and said, "Okay." And I think he mostly listened to what Trump had to say. But yeah,
It's a strange dynamic. I mean, the Democrats talking about how we're moving towards fascism. He's a dictator. It's the end of the world. Hair on fire, and there they are. It's after the election, and everyone is it's just another day, and
we're,
it's
we're
just
going to
awkward.
continue with Biden, Harris, Clinton, Obama as our leaders because
Yeah,
we cannot find leaders any other place. These are our only people who can lead a party and lead it. Wait a minute, they lead us into defeat. But the next time around, they're gonna lead it into victory. That I am proud. I have a problem with this. So yeah, but I found it interesting because Trump was having a good time. He was joking and he was carrying on and he was smiling and I'm going like, holy crapola and a crackers and a Ritz cracker. I don't know what to expect.
I, I, I mean, the death of the former president, to me, has been drawn out. I mean, it is ceremonial and it's custom tradition. Um, However, it it just seemed so drawn out and more of an exercise in tradition. And I'm sure Trump rather be on the golf course as he was a couple of days ago, or at least preparing for his sentencing, tomorrow. Which is this is just so strange, Jimmy. It's surreal to see him amongst the other presidents and the vice president and the second gentleman, the first gentleman. I don't know what the hell they call it, and he's going to be sworn in 10 days, and it's just such a strange dynamic. And I don't know what to make of it. To be honest, it's like this is the reality that we're living in.
Well, the reality that we're living in is that you're right. The Democrats are there. They're not thinking. They're not going through this. They're not understanding the people and anything. And the worst part that they've done, they decide not to listen to anybody because they have the answers. But look, I think we need to accept one thing. what we thought was carved in stone, that you cannot talk about a man's penis in a political meeting for 20 minutes. Well, that's gone. That you
Gone.
cannot call Marco Rubio small hands and small, that's
Yeah,
gone
that's fine.
with that. That you shouldn't stand up in there and lie. Well, yeah, we always have lied, but
Right.
our lies are our lies and their lies are their lies. But the truth of the matter is that no, we should not do that. That is where I've always have a problem. I don't think that we're adjusting to the new world as we probably should. To be quite honest, I don't think that my generation is understanding certain things that are changing. Like, for example, a cashless society. All my life, I would prefer to pay cash because I did not want to pay the fees of a of a credit card, which were sometimes in the 20%. Okay,
Ouch.
uh, yeah, some of them, not all of them, but some of them
Right.
they are, and or like I like to say, have create more stress in my life. This has to be paid by the 8th, because if it's not paid by the 8th, then I'm going to pay another $34 of. So yeah, whenever I could pay with cash, I was paying with cash. Plus, I don't know if people have noticed, in gas stations have two prices. If you pay with cash, it's 10 cents
Yes.
cheaper per gallon. And hey, yeah, $3 to me is still $3.
Right.
So but it is, the party has not changed, and I think one of the things that you're right. This tradition with the death of the president, the problem is, where are we going to stop it? Are we going to do it for Trump? Probably not. Are we going to do it for Obama? Hell no. Are we going to do it for George W. Bush? No. Are we going to do it for Biden? Even though he's not knowing what's going around him, no, we're not going to do it either. So
Right.
the thing is, this is a tradition that all these who are former presidents expect that when they die, continue. None of them have had the guts to say, this is kind of overboard. We might want to. And this started, for the record, with Lincoln, because prior to that, this was not an issue. Because if you remember, uh, uh, two former presidents died the same day, July 4th.
Jefferson Adams.
No, it was
Man, Madison.
Jefferson and Adams. Yes, correct.
Adams. Okay.
They both died the same day.
Yeah.
And
4th of July.
4th of July, and there was not this big ceremony. It started with Lincoln, who
Hmm.
deserved it. I'm not going to say it didn't, but then there are other presidents that you just want to, but it continued. So it is a fact of life. But let me do something here to start off my soapbox.
Let's hear it, Jimmy. Let's go.
I'm going to give a weird shout out
Okay.
to Amanda Hearst. She's the president of the Young Democrats.
Yes.
She was a guest columnist in the Orlando Sentinel. Her topic is, we need to embrace a new generation of leaders in America. Basically, what she's saying is, hey, people, you need to let us run the show. Uh, I don't disagree with that. No, I don't. There's a
Mhm.
lot of old farts out there that need to let go, uh, and particularly at a national level. I looked at today's ceremony, and I could say that most of the people who were at a ceremony need to go. I cannot even think of one that I would keep, and that's
Right.
hard to say. Okay. Oh, but Obama was there. He needs to go. Clinton, hell, he needs to go.
Yes.
Biden, he's gone. Okay, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
he's gone.
After the
Okay,
20th.
okay. Harris, she had a chance and she didn't even. She's the only candidate that lost all the swing states. So don't even
Yep.
talk to me about it. Okay, so who are we going to start bringing back? That's a good thing. We have 4 years. No, we should be doing it now. Right now, we need to listen to the progressives of the party. We need to listen to the centrists of the party. We need to listen to the people like Bill Maher, who is a rights centrist of the party. and see what they have to say and change our message completely.
Mhm.
And this is what where I disagree with her. Just giving it to the young people without them having a new agenda. No, if they're going to continue with this wokeness, people set aside. If you're going to continue thinking that, like when I was your age, Amanda, that I thought I know everything, to only realize at my age, at that age, I knew shit. Uh, yeah, you need to set aside. Look, the party needs to sit down and say, okay, what are your points? What are your points? What are your points? And how can we address it? And we're going to need a new leader, and maybe we need to copy the Republicans. Look, the current president elect is not a member of the Senate, was never elected to any position, but
Correct.
was able to understand the people. And the people love him. Oh, no, no, no. They elected him president. Stop pretending otherwise. Stop putting your head in the sand that, that you don't like him. I accept that. I don't like him. I accept that. But the majority of the people who went out to vote voted him in.
They vote for him.
So, with that in mind, calling him weird is not going to help us.
Yep.
Calling him that this is the end of the world is not going to help us. Calling him a fascist is not going to help us. What might help us is every time he fucks up, showing it to the world. Hey, people, he did this, and this is the consequences of this. Hey, you pay more for the products that you're consuming right now, and for your auto parts, is because he put a tariff on products that come from China and from South Korea and from Japan. He put in those tariffs. They're not paying them. You are paying them.
Yeah.
Okay, these are tariffs to enter the country, not that the people who sell the products are going to pay for it. So basically, at this point, yes. Otherwise, if we're going to just continue doing the same thing that we've been doing, we're just proving to the world that Einstein was correct. And the definition of insanity is that repeating the same act, expecting a different result, is a democratic definition. We need a new leader who could come, talk to the people, to the middle class, and to everybody and say, yeah, you're right. We screwed up. Yeah,
Right.
you're right. We need to listen to you. Yeah, you're right. When you don't trust the government and the media, this is a valid
Good
point
point.
in your distrust.
It's a very good point, Jimmy. You're 100% correct there. The lack of trust in the parties, the lack of trust in the government alone. I think establishing a certain level of trust with the public, with the voting public, is the first start. And how you do that, get have a leader, promote a leader that people can trust, people who have established a relationship, or even on the peripheral, who say, hey, that person's a good person, and you know maybe I want to hear more from his or her point of view, their message. But someone who's established in some part or another a relationship with the voting public.
Yeah, and to a certain degree, that they can associate with. Look,
Mhm.
during our campaign with Harris, that everything is okay and that everything that Biden did was okay, that the economy was okay, and that these people were just fascist and weird. You want to run that campaign? Be my guest. But when you lose, please don't ask why,
Thank
because you
you.
don't know why. And look, I'll give you an example of something that I'm a Democrat, and I'm going to say. Uh, Many years ago, we had a crisis in this country. People were dying by the hundreds and the thousands over opiates. Opiates.
Mm, yeah.
We had oxycodone that was really killing people by the thousand. Okay,
Yeah.
it was really killing the people by the thousand. What were we doing about it? Well, the media was very quiet about it.
Yeah.
The media did not do anything. As a matter of fact, the only person who put out a special on it was Netflix. Okay, let's call it out
Okay.
because none of the larger companies decided to do so. Netflix put it out, and one of the observations in that Netflix thing was one that most Americans believe in. You go on TV, regular TV, and more than 60% of all the commercials is it hurts, your leg hurts, take this pill. You
Yeah.
have depression, take that pill.
Yeah.
You have cirrhosis, take this pill. Uh,
Okay.
you have this, get this injection. You want to lose weight, use, which is the new phase right now,
Yes.
Ozempic. You,
Ozempic.
you will lose a lot of weight. Bingo.
Yes.
And that people believe that the reason that CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, and even Fox News never reported about the oxycontin is because they're controlled and owned by the pharmaceutical companies. How true that is, I don't care.
Sure.
Perceptions are worse than the realities. But the reality was that none of them were reporting that problem. Okay? That's the reality.
And you know, when I do watch broadcast television, I see a lot of ads for, different drugs, medications, and so forth and so on. And with the fancy songs and fancy names, the catchy songs. And at one point, that wasn't the case. The same with alcohol that was advertised on television. There was actually a prohibition on that. Um, Going back to Amanda Hertz, though, kudos to her for writing the Orlando Sentinel. And it's not shocking that the Sentinel made sure that they had a big piece on her in the op ed. I have not read it. However, I do agree. I do agree that it's time for the Nancy Pelosi's. We forgot to throw Nancy into that to
Yeah,
move
forget her.
on, and and we see the Chuck Schumer's him also. We see just in this 119th Congress, AOC passed up for the committee chair position for the oversight committee. So it's just it is said that the Democrats are not taking any lessons learned from this past election. Um, in another podcast that I'll broadcast later for our flagship show, I did a rundown of the potential uh, candidates for or potential Democratic nominees for president, and went through the list. And some familiar names, some not so familiar names, some names that have a lot of star power, some other names are like, who are you? The Democrats do have a star power problem. They do have a problem with someone who is charismatic, who can raise a lot of money, who is seen as a strong leader. There may be potential candidates, or yes, potential candidates for the nominee who carry some of those traits, but not all of those traits. If take on someone like a Trump or even the J.D. Vance in the fame that he's captured if he runs again. Um,
Vance is not going to run. You know who's going to run, right?
if you say Elon Musk, I'm going to go to Mexico.
Okay, start making reservations.
Damn it, damn it, Jimmy.
Making reservations.
Are you,
Uh,
no, are you serious, Jimmy? He'll run for. Well, he can. He's not a natural born
oh, that's right. He can.
American.
Okay.
He can.
So it's going to be Vance or, well, Vance is going to have challenges. Trust me.
But I would think that JD is the heir apparent to the MAGA movement.
No.
You know.
This is where you need to understand the MAGA movement.
Okay.
Okay. MAGA movement is whatever Donald Trump says it is. So if in 4 years he's pissed off with J.D. Vance
Hmm.
and he says, okay, people, It's not JD Vance. It's my son. It's his son.
Oh,
They do whatever he says.
that's good.
They have lost elections because he nominated. Look, they lost
In Georgia.
Georgia because he said these are my people, and the people in Georgia said, "I cannot. We cannot vote for these people. I'm sorry."
Herschel Walker for senator. Yes, that's a very good point.
So
You're
the,
right,
the
Jimmy.
MAGA movement is not, oh, well, I'll convince the MAGA people to go with me. No, no, no. MAGA movement is Donald Trump says is this, is that. And to be quite honest, it depends also on how well organized are they for the next 4 years.
Good point. Sure.
Okay? If there's going to be any internal fights, uh, if they're going to spend $1 trillion buying Greenland.
I can see, I can see the return on investment for purchasing Greenland or coming to some agreement. I see the precious minerals that are in Greenland that are valuable.
Yeah, and
Um,
how is that going to help the United States recover the $1 trillion paid for it?
Good
Huh?
question. And if those minerals stimulate the economy and create $1 trillion in taxes or whatever, maybe. However, as I've learned, Greenland is a strategic um, interest of America because of its precious resources. That's very clear.
And that's very clear. And to be blunt, right now, this is where I think people are stupid. Denmark can say, okay, you want me to take the pressure off myself with this shit? Okay, I'm going to give and you the exclusive rights to mine in Greenland for the next 100 years. Okay, America, you want to buy it? Because if you buy it, these people already have the mining control over it.
True. I I
You
don't know
know,
how that work out. However, um, one of the Trump sons was in Greenland recently.
yeah.
Uh,
For a photo op, yeah, he was.
yeah, yeah.
He's too
Um,
he's too dumb to be able to do anything about that. I'm sorry. He's too dumb. He went there because it's a good photo op and everything like that. Look, the truth of the matter is I prefer Trump to be talking on Greenland and talking about the Canal of Panama, which that distracts him from doing other stupid things.
I can see your point there in regards to the Panama Canal. Strategically, that is a significant interest for America, in my belief. I understand that the Chinese have made vast investments in the canal, and it's in the world, in the international trade environment. The Chinese are eating our lunch. We're not as
Because we have let them to do so.
That's
And if you
correct.
think you're going to go into the Panama Canal taking force to go and to take it over, let me tell you who's going to come and hit you back hard and embarrass you in front of the whole world. That's called China. And that's the
Yeah.
problem I have with this. That they think, oh, we could go in there, no big deal. And China's just going to say, okay, we lost $500 billion, no big deal. No.
Hmm.
If the United States decide to attack Panama and Panama asks China for help, you're in World War III. Sorry.
It's
For years, people have been telling the United States, China's eating your lunch, not only
Yes.
in Panama, in Africa, okay,
Yep. In Africa, yes, exactly.
in India.
Uh-huh.
We can keep going on. But what does the United States do? Well, we don't worry yet. No, no, no. It's the American saying is very correct. Money walks, bullshit.
And that's what it comes down to. Money solves problems.
Yeah,
And
you have problems in Africa. U.S. says no, I'm not going to give you any money. But China
Mhm.
says, "What do you need? You need a new this. You need a new that. Here's the money. Here's the loan. Hey,
Exactly.
we hold a mortgage on the property. What a surprise!"
Hmm. Exactly. They've made the necessary financial investments in Africa for African infrastructure, and they have their companies in Africa. They've established themselves in Africa. America says, well, we won't help you unless you deal with these particular human rights issues. China's like, hey, let's go make some money. And they're dominating in business.
Well, yes, but there's a problem that I don't think we tend to understand. Also, uh, I don't like to brag about my economic knowledge, but I'm going to do this. We lost $5 trillion in our economy in 2014 because of the greediness of the Bernstein, of the Lehman, of the Countrywide, and others who
Yeah.
were giving, if you could breathe, you could get a mortgage, a
Yeah.
subprime mortgage, and they would package them and things like that. I don't know if you ever seen the movie The Big Short.
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Yes, I did. Very good film.
there's some things that are really exaggerated, but the basic truth that this doctor went and purchased all these insurance things, saying, "Hey, that this is going to fall down," and they was able to buy it for pennies on the dollar
That's correct.
because nobody thought this was, and that as they showed in those movies, people who had no brains whatsoever were mortgage brokers and were giving mortgages, and 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 and, and the comment he made in that movie, foreigners are just, we tell them, hey, sign here and I'm going to give you this house, and then
Hmm.
the thing exploded because they couldn't pay the mortgage, and then all of a sudden the properties reverted back to the bank. With all due respect, that was fraud. Our banking industry is still trying to recover wide world from a fraud impression. So when the Chinese go there and say, "Hey, don't worry, I can give you a mortgage and I don't have a problem," and by the way, you don't want to take money from Chase, you don't want to take money from Bank of America, you don't
Hmm.
want to take money from these other banks because, hey, 10 years ago they were fraud. Do you really want to deal with them? That's also a problem that we don't want. We want to say, well, we want them to do things about human rights. Look, I hate to say this. No, no, we we are not investing outside the United States. Right now, MAGA means Make America Great Again, which is isolationist. Our banks are isolating themselves. So basically, there is no taste in Congress to say, hey, let's compete with China. Let's not let China take care of Africa, India, Central America, South America. No, no. If they want to have it, they can buy whatever. As a matter of fact, we're still trying to stop sales to Chinese people of buying properties here in the United States.
That's correct. Yes, you're right.
So basically, this idea that the United States is going to do something, no. But God forbid that this idiot decides to invade the Panama Canal, because typically China has too much money invested there to just sit idle and not do anything.
That's correct. They do, and I see the merit in identifying that this is an issue. However, how to resolve it if it comes to a war or some type of conflict, let's put it that, military conflict, then like you said, this will start something really big with China, and something I think that
And North Korea,
we
because
better
North
not be
Korea
involved.
would jump in.
What's that, Jimmy?
And North Korea would jump in.
Oh yeah, that's right. North Korea, who they have, troops in Russia, in the war with Ukraine,
Right.
and North Korea has an abundance of military ready to go.
Yeah.
Uh, and one thing that I'm noticing, Jimmy, that with this new um, Trump administration coming into play, we're hearing more about the world around us than we did when Biden became president or when Trump became president the first time, or during the Trump and Bush years. Things like the value of the canal to us, or the value of Greenland to us. This is something that you know this didn't happen overnight. I'm sure, if I read the article correctly, someone approached um, Trump, or it came to his attention about the the Panama Canal situation back in 2019. And I think it was the same as Greenland. This is nothing new. This is not a fresh idea. This is something that had been that Trump was approached with to consider.
Well,
So, what else is it that Americans aren't readily available to know that we should understand?
in fairness, Jefferson put together a commission when he was president to study the issue of Greenland. Uh, he
Hmm.
wanted to buy it, but the money was not there.
Hmm.
Truman made an offer to Denmark after the
Huh.
war for $100 million to buy Greenland, and Denmark declined. Uh,
Okay, some history. I did not know that.
yeah, it's so, and the thing that they're concerned about is that ships from Russia pass
Russia.
by. I hate to
Yeah, the
break the
war.
news to you people. You can buy Greenland, but you're not going to stop the ships because they're in international waters. So if
That's
they
true.
do
That's true.
go, they're going to pass by. Oh, we can spy on them. You know what the U.S. might be smarter to do? Sit down with Denmark and say, hey, let me negotiate a 99-year contract with you so I can put a base there so I can
Yes.
monitor Russia. How much you want for that?
You think Russia would tolerate that? You think there'll be some pushback from Russia if, say, for instance, there is a 99-year agreement and the U.S. and Greenland come to terms to have a U.S. base in Greenland to monitor the Northern Passage and more importantly, Russia. You think Russia would tolerate that?
Oh, they would huff and they would puff and they would do this. Right now, because of their weakness militarily after Ukraine, what are they
Right.
going to do? Invade Greenland and try to destroy it? Send jets out there and start World War III and end up power as we speak? I don't think so.
No.
Hold on, hold on.
And so, Jimmy, you were just saying about the Russia tolerating the Americans having a base in Greenland.
Right now, after Ukraine, they might want to prefer to get the U.S. not to support Ukraine than they are that to be spied on.
Hmm.
At this
Hmm.
point, I'm not sure. What I'm surprised is that I haven't seen too many American interests go into Denmark and say, "Hey, can we negotiate some mines rights here?" It hasn't really been negotiated, and that part has surprised me. Unless they have tried, and Denmark said, "No, we're not going to allow it."
Right. Man, it just seems like the Trump administration. I wonder why my lighting is so dark. I'll fix that. It's amazing that the Trump administration is bringing so much to light so early. Um, I would think that with the war in Gaza, the war in Ukraine, that the incoming administration would think that their hands are just too full right now.
Well, to be quite honest, you're right, but to a certain point, I don't think that uh, President Trump thinks that he's going to have to get much involved in Gaza. He's going to let Netanyahu do whatever he wants, and he's just going to look the other way.
Mhm.
Basically, even the war in Ukraine, basically at this point, he would like Ukraine to accept his conditions. They're not going to accept it, so basically that war is going to continue on. And The other issue is going to be worldwide. He doesn't care of anything outside of the United States. They could kill
Right.
each other as far as he's concerned. China could take whatever it wants. He doesn't care. If China wants to invade Taiwan and take it over, that's among themselves. I don't care. I'm not
Right.
going to get involved. Uh, so it's a reality that I don't think we're thinking that he's trying to make points to the United States. Also, you have to understand that these are things he's hearing on Fox News, on News Nation, and stuff like that
Yeah.
about Greenland and about the Canal Panama, and he is going to do it. As a matter of fact, one thing that we don't know historically, the person who turned over the canal to Panama was President Carter, who
That's great.
we,
Yeah.
we celebrate his death and his life. The truth of the matter is, the reason he did it is because the United States had no appetite to continue spending billions of dollars a year to maintain the canal.
Right. Right.
Because back then, let's get this, it belonged to the United States. So the maintenance of that canal was 100% covered by the United States of America's government. They had to pay for the people who worked there. They had to pay the insurance. They had to pay for repairs. They had to repair for modernization of everything. They had to pay for it, and they didn't have the funds to do it. And there was no taste to continue spending on the canal. So basically, Carter said he had no choice but to say, hey, we can't pay for this. It's your problem now. And Panama said, sure, we'll take it over. And what they did is they went outside and said to everybody, hey, your ships are coming through here? Yeah, you're going to help us with the support. And basically, the ships of the U.S. before the U.S. controlled it didn't pay for anything going through. But now, those same U.S. ships pay to go through. As a matter of fact, one of the things that a friend of mine told me is that there is a cruise that goes through the canal, okay, and that's the most expensive cruise because of the fees that they have to pay to go through the canal.
Wow, Jimmy.
So
Wow.
it is life. But Carter said, hey, the government doesn't have the energy or the money to continue paying for it. Panama is your problem. So basically, it's not only taking it over, it's if you're going to take it over, the maintenance of that is a couple of billions a year. Okay, so
Right.
get ready to pay a couple of $1 billion a year to maintain it. So it's going to be an interesting way of it. Yeah, China has paid given the money to have certain things in the canal. That's fine,
Right.
and the U.S. could have done the same for the record, but chose not to. Look,
I mean, it's such short sightedness to hand over the canal. You know, the treaty was up for negotiation, and then unintended tax on U.S. vessels and everyone else, I presume. Just increasing the cost of a cruise. You know,
yeah,
it make it make sense, and then of course it needed maintenance, and I think again the short sightedness is saying, hey, at least we have our hand in what's going on down there. It's of course it's an important um, um, source for trade and moving merchandise and so forth and so on. It's important to our economy and the world economy. It saves what 17,000 nautical miles just having the canal. It just the short sightedness again. I said that at least 5 times. It's just mind boggling. Like, wait a second, we're making it more difficult for us, and we're handing our not so friends, another tool to use against us. Make
yeah,
it make sense.
and sadly we talk about these things, and we think, well, oh, we're going to take over the canal. We're going to make it prosper. We're going to take it over, and we're going to show the world that we're still a power in the world. We're really not, uh, and that's the sad part. And the sad part is that how we're going to pay for these things is a good question. Look, let's say you buy Greenland for 1 trillion.3. That's according to appraised value. That's what it's worth. Okay, now you took $1 trillion out of our economy. You sent it to another country. Okay, that's fine. So, oh wait a minute. Greenland is not self-sufficient.
Hmm.
What are we going to do? How? We're going to send them another $12 billion a year just to support themselves? Oh, wait a minute. That's one of the reasons they want to get rid of Puerto Rico. They don't want to send them money. It's a reality that it doesn't make any sense. Does Russia pass ships through there? Yeah,
Of
it does.
course.
It does. It does. Uh, do those ships carry oil? Yes,
Oh
and they're
yeah.
going to, with all due respect to South and Central America, yes, they do. They're going to Africa. Yes, they do. They're taking gas out of They're taking food and products out of Africa and going through to Russia. Yes, it does. So uh, I'm not sure what the concern it is that is going through, particularly since Trump and Putin are good friends. That's the other concern I'm going. I thought you guys were good friends. I thought you trusted each other. So what's the big?
Right. Right.
But apparently, it's an issue to them. Now, the question in chief is going to be as follows: now that the Republicans have the House and the Senate, are they going to pass a budget? Are they going to pass a budget that helps who and how? Are
Right.
they going to pass laws that make me have to pray? They're going to pass laws that say that uh, people who were born here in the United States, who under the Constitution are citizens, are no longer citizens because their parents were not here legally. Uh, are we going to go court to court, case to case to decide, like, for example, people who entered into the country legally, but had to have, at the end, their child was born in here, and by the time the child, uh, they had to return for 7 months, back
Yeah.
after 7 months visa, they didn't. Just was that the birth valid, but now invalid because they stayed. It's going to be an interesting way, and it's going to be an interesting way to see how things go down in this country, and how the economy, if it rebounds or it doesn't rebound, if it stays the same or if it gets worse.
Right.
So,
Jimmy, I see us coming into as you stated earlier, with how campaigns have changed now. In Donald Trump has pretty much in both his in all three of his campaigns have set a tone for how campaigns are run and strategized. Um, I think we're going to see unorthodox but measured um, strategy approach to his administration in many of these issues that we're facing. I think the innovative idea of introducing Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, is something that has been talked about and has probably been done or discussed in individual agencies and things like that. But then to making the oversight entity responsible for coming up with recommendations on how we can be more efficient in government. There's a trillion or $2 trillion right there, Jimmy, to pay for the savings to pay for Greenland. Who knows? Who knows?
well,
There's a lot of question marks or how
there is, and
administration is going to
it's
proceed.
question marks because this is the problem. Now that you have the power, and now that you're going to do things, you're going to realize that the fault of the federal government overspending falls on both parties.
Yes.
Okay, now what are you going to do? Look, do you know which are the two agencies that spend 2/3 of the budget? Who they are?
That um, would that be the Department of Defense or Social Security and Medicare?
You got both of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Now let's see. You're gonna cut the Department of Defense. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Okay, so you're gonna cut uh, Social Security. Ooh, don't screw with those voters. Really, don't screw with those voters. Oh, we're gonna screw with Medicare. You don't screw with people's health, so you're not gonna screw with Medicare. So you have 1/3. So that 1/3, let's see, who can we cut? Let's eliminate the Department of Education. Who cares about education? We can eliminate that. Okay.
Send it to the states.
Well, no, because the problem is here is if you can send it to the states, really what you're going to save is something like $12 million, which is the bureaucracy in Washington. But if you can send the same money to the states, you haven't cut the budget significantly. So if you're going to say of the $2.8 billion that is sent to each state is going to continue going, you haven't cut it. Oh,
Right.
when you eliminate the Department of Education, the staff there is about 12 point something million dollars a year. That's not going to make a dent in the budget. Okay, so who else can we cut? Department of Transportation? Not really. Nah, we
No.
can't cut that one because that's sacred. We need our airports to function. We need our trucks to be functioning. Okay. We need our trains to be functioning. So okay, so who else can we cut? Oh, well, maybe we could cut the department, the USDA. Who cares? We could cut the SEC. Let the Wall Street self-regulate. Okay, that's
Ooh.
well.
Ooh.
Okay. So what can we do that is going to save us money? You know where they're going to cut first?
I would say they would cut Medicare first.
No,
Really? Social Security would be my next guess.
no. They're not going to touch those two. Look, they're going to give you the impression that they're doing something. They're not
Okay.
really going to fix it, but they're going to give the impression. There's one area that if you cut it from the budget, nobody in America is going to cry.
I was going to say immigration.
No. If you cut the $2.8 billion that the United States gives to countries as welfare,
Foreign aid.
Africa,
Yes.
Europe, India, Pakistan,
Yes.
and I think it's also Japan to a certain extent,
Yes.
and all those smaller countries that the U.S. gives them money. You cut that $2.8 billion. Hey, we eliminated foreign aid. Sounds great. Okay, now China says, okay, don't worry, countries, we'll pick that up. And as a matter of fact, we'll make it double. Okay, fine. Not a problem. Then we're going to have great influence in those countries. Say, hey, India, you need to. And they're going to say, fuck you. Okay, so that's one area. The other area is the Department of Education.
Yeah.
People are against it. Okay, now let's see what other areas we could cut funds on. Well, there's other agencies that people don't like, and they're going to say, we're going to take out all these departments that continue doing enforcing regulations, so we're going to take out the SEC and all these other groups. And bingo, people, we have basically saved us $8.2 billion. Whoopee! But the American people, nah, they're doing something finally. Well, they're right. They're finally doing something. Is it going to be effective? That's a good question.
Yes, at what cost?
Politicians are good about what I call impressions. We eliminated foreign aid. Okay, screw that's gone. We eliminated the Department of Education. Fine, that's gone. We eliminated. Now, there's things they could do within Social Security to save money, but they're not going to do it because of the backlash. Social Security spends an average of close to $6 billion sending to 50 states, Guam, the Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico to the state health departments to evaluate their disability claims. They do a horrible job.
Okay.
You overcharge for it. Yeah, if they eliminated that, they would send another save $1 billion. But DeSantis will lose approximately close to $500 million that he gets annually from the Social Security Administration that he counts in his budget, and he's going to yell.
Yeah, good point.
So
In many other
no,
states.
it's not going to happen.
Right.
Defense contractors are going to say you're not cutting the budget to buy tanks, bullets, or anything like that. So no, that's not going to happen. Which is where the biggest waste is in defense. What, you're going to reduce the pay of soldiers? Not
No,
really. You're going
no,
to reduce the amount of generals?
no.
That's not going to save you that much money.
Right.
So basically, uh, Musk knows how to create problems. Create products. He doesn't know how to save money. He never has been good at that.
Mhm.
And that has the people in Tesla.
Jimmy, you mentioned the budget that the Republicans are looking to submit, a reconciliation bill, this MAGA centric big bill of their complete wish list. What chance does it have of gaining any traction in the House of Representatives as a complete bill?
Unless Donald Trump threatens at least 22 people in the House, none. Now, if he says, hey, you people vote against this and I'm going to run a Republican against you, yeah.
Yeah,
Remember, their majority is 3. It's not that significant.
correct.
So I could think of 22 people who would not vote for it. And I can
Mhm.
think of people, a part of those 22, that if it's going to affect their district, and what I mean by that district, and I'll give you an example here. Okay, let's take our own example. When we're talking about defense spending, we have one of the biggest defense contractors called Martin Marietta.
Yes, sir.
Down there on Lake on the Hill, and
Yep.
employs thousands of people. So let's stop pretending that that's some other place. We have it here. If you try to cut their budget, all 27 congressmen of Florida are going to jump on your, you know what.
That's right, sir.
Okay, so let's stop pretending that that's going to. And the Senate, ooh, Martin Marietta calls Rick Scott and calls DeSantis, say they're screwing with our budget. Or you take this out of the budget, but if you vote to approve it, I'm gonna finance a candidate against you. Uh, no,
Yeah.
they that's not gonna happen. The thing is that these people who want this, and I know it, think that this would help the economy. It's not really going to help the economy. Now, would it be an honest budget and stop some of the waste that's in the budget? Yeah, it would,
Sure.
but it's not
There,
going to.
there's inefficiencies, of course, of course,
Oh yeah,
and we can find them just about anywhere.
oh yeah,
Um,
but it's
I,
not going to pass.
I can tell you, it's not going to be a boring moment with this administration.
Oh no, no, no. And what's not going to be boring is the fact that if Trump thinks it's going to hurt his rich friends, he'll be against it himself. And
Hmm.
if he's against it, it's dead. So look, you have passed from the days that you would have a president who had to negotiate with the House and had to negotiate with the Senate to a dictator in one sense. Either you do what I tell you or I'll run somebody against you. And
Right.
the person I run against you, I will go into your state and say, this is my candidate. That guy's betrayed our Magna movement. You're dead. And that's true. So at this point, it's going to be a good question. How is much control and how much does he want to micromanage? Uh, because the first 2 years, he could do a lot of harm. My hope is, and after that, somebody gets a brain and turns either the House to the Democrats or takes away some of the majority the Republicans have in the Senate. I'm not sure. I think the House is more of a hope than it is the Senate. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But at this point, I will be honest. The first 2 years of Trump are going to be scary. He has the House, he has the Senate,
And
and
the
he has
presidency.
himself. And
The
the
Supreme
real
Court.
power is in his back pocket.
Hmm.
He has a Supreme Court.
That's
They are
right.
not jurists, they are loyalists.
Yeah.
A big difference. So at this point, it's going to be what has happened. So, and as we speak, we know the Supreme Court has now made a ruling on about tomorrow's sentencing.
Yes. What What do you think as we come to a close here? Where do you think the Supreme Court is going to rule? How they're
Well,
going to How are
look,
they going to rule
the,
on this?
there's three members there who are not traditionalists. Thomas, uh, Gorin, and this other young lady. Okay,
Oh, uh, Amy Cohen Barrett.
she's not a traditionalist. Traditionally, the Supreme Court does not touch a sentence into a person who's been sentenced. Then they touch it and they reserve the power to overturn it. So that has been a tradition of almost 300 years. Are
Okay.
they going to overcome that? Well, maybe Roberts won't agree with that. The other three Democrats would not go along with that. So that would give four, and maybe 1/5 might move over and say, that's right. We need to wait until this person gets sentenced, and that's it. Or they just decide not to make a decision, which is within their power to do so. So basically, at this point, it's going to be interesting that they have given access to somebody who has not even gone to the Court of Appeals to get a decision. Then going from a local courthouse directly to the Supreme Court, which is it's not unprecedented. I'm going to start by saying it's not unprecedented. It's happened very little, but at this point, it is to a court that he appointed four of them, and they have up to now proven that they are going to do whatever he requests.
We're living in some fascinating times, Jimmy.
We are.
Politically, at least.
We are.
Wow. Well, the next time we meet, it will be approximately 4 days before the swearing in of a new president.
Yeah.
And after that, we'll be meeting, and it will be the beginnings of the Trump 2.0.
Well, and we should have a new thing because we can't do it now because it's not fair to Biden because he's senile. But I would like to end or begin the program with this: the fuck up of the week.
I'm gonna write that down, Jimmy. I meant to have my notebook in front of me. The fuck up of the week, yes. We
It
will.
could be Trump. It could be Vance. It could be Musk. It could be a senator. It could be a
Yeah,
congressman. It could
yes.
be a law that was passed or somebody doing something that, you know,
Okay. That will be the beginning of our
as a,
show
and,
starting.
and as a matter of fact, we'll just see what happens since we record on Thursdays and we know that Fridays nothing really happens in the White House. We could take Monday through Thursday unless something happens during the weekend, and then it will go to the next week. So
Right.
no problem with that. But yeah, it's going to be the fuck up of the week.
Got it.
And that award goes this week too.
So what should we talk about the next week, Jimmy?
Well, next week we could talk about, and this is going to sound bad, does Joe Biden have a good or a bad?
Does
Uh,
Joe Biden have it good or bad?
Mentioning heritage, whatever you want to call it. I really don't care. Uh, I, I, I I've never been a Joe Biden fan, and I'm gonna say this, and I really think he screwed it up with Anita Hill, big league.
Yeah.
And from that day on, I just thought he was an incompetent. So I never changed my mind and never understood why Obama picked him. But we all commit mistakes in life, and that was, in my opinion, Obama's biggest mistake. There were so many other people he could have picked that
True.
that would have done 10 times better. But it is what it is. So with that in mind, we can start with the program with what will Biden's legacy be,
Okay. I like that. I like that.
and then we end it with. Oh no, we can't end it with the fuck up because he hasn't sworn in yet. No,
That will be the next show.
that will be the next show. Okay, not a problem.
All right, Jimmy. Thank
All
you
right,
again.
everybody, remember subscribe, like. As a matter of fact, even dislike if you want. Make your comments, send us your emails or whatever, and tell us what you would like us to talk about. See you next week.
Awesome, Jimmy. Thank you again. Enjoy
Take
your
care,
weekend.
everybody. Okay, bye.
Bye.